Well, for decades, a local nonprofit organization has been strengthening our community one home at a time. The Housing Council at Pathstone is a critical resource assisting homeowners through education, counseling, and research, and promoting fair housing awareness. Tricia Eisman is Director of Foreclosure Prevention and a certified reverse mortgage counselor, and Raylan Allen is Deputy of Housing Grants and Programs at the Housing Council at Pathstone. We're happy to have you ladies on today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What is the mission of the Housing Council at Pathstone?
Well, our mission at the Housing Council at Pathstone is to help one family at a time either obtain or retain home ownership, promote fair housing law, and help community members have access to housing education.
Mm-hmm. So what are the services or classes, the education, how does that look at Pathstone?
Well, for the Housing Council at Pathstone is a HUD certified housing counseling agency. We're one of the largest in New York State.
Okay.
And what that means is that we are certified from the Housing and Urban Development Department of the federal government to provide services anywhere from the really fun stuff in housing like first-time home buyers. We assist homeowners in the education needed and savings needed to buy their first home. We also do a lot of critical work with landlords and tenants.
Okay.
Landlords and tenants, we have education for landlords, operating rental property course, and we have a tenant accountability course that promotes rights and responsibilities when you are a tenant in a rental property.
Okay.
And then we also assist veterans in helping find stable housing for veterans, and then our foreclosure prevention program.
Okay. Tricia, how can someone access services at the Housing Council at Pathstone?
So you can contact us several different ways. We do run a housing hotline every day from 1 to 4, so anyone can call in and speak to a counselor and get directed to the right department that can help them.
Okay.
By phone, email, there's many different ways that you can access our services.
Can people also walk into the office?
They can walk in and speak to a counselor, but if they do need services that require an appointment, we would schedule an appointment for them.
Okay. What does foreclosure prevention mean?
So foreclosure prevention, it means that we're working with families to educate them on what options are available for them during the foreclosure process, or whether they're just behind on their mortgage, just to educate them of what options are available to be able to keep their home, and then if they're not able to keep their home, to educate them on what transition options could be available for them.
So what's important about our foreclosure prevention program is that we can't help you unless you call us. So it's really important that families who are facing foreclosure, which is a really, really scary thing, a lot of people get super overwhelmed. They don't want to tell family members. They're embarrassed. They don't know where to turn. So calling us as soon as you get that first foreclosure pendency notice from the bank at 546-3700, the sooner you're connected to one of our foreclosure counselors, the better chance it is for you to keep your home.
Right. How does the foreclosure process work? What do people need to know about that?
Well, it's a very long process, so that is one of the most important things. Right now in New York State, I believe it's averaging about 934 days.
Okay.
So a homeowner is initially going to fall behind on their payments. The bank's going to become aware of that. They'll receive some sort of notice from the bank, typically stating that they have to bring the loan current within a certain amount of time. And then if they do not do that, then the bank can start foreclosure proceedings. So the summons and complaint will be the first notice that someone will receive that they are in foreclosure. The foreclosure process has started. And then after that, they will receive a notice about a court date, which is a settlement conference. And that is where the bank and the homeowner come together to try to come to some sort of resolution. And we can help support someone through the whole process. With the settlement conference, we do have legal partnerships with local legal agencies that we do refer homeowners for free representation through the process. And again, we can also support them through that process. So if the settlement conference, depending on what happens, if it's successful, then the homeowner is going to keep their home, and then the foreclosure is canceled, and then they just go back to being a regular homeowner paying their mortgage payment on time. If it's not successful, then it's removed from the settlement conference, and there are several more steps in the legal process, which can take about 4 to 6 months before the house would potentially be auctioned off. Anytime in the process, you can still work with your bank. Up until the day that it gets auctioned off, then at that point it's no longer your home. Up until that point, it is your home, and you can still work with the bank and try to resolve the situation.
What are some of the benefits of working with a HUD-approved housing counseling agency when in foreclosure?
So one of the benefits of working with a foreclosure prevention counselor, because we're a HUD-approved housing counseling agency, we are held at the national standard of compliance. So all of our foreclosure prevention counselors are trained at a national level. They have up-to-date certifications, and because our housing counselors are trained at a national level, they're able to sort of be a mitigator between the bank, the attorney, and really explain to the client what's happening throughout the process, because it can be a really scary process, and a lot of people don't understand the legal language or the bank language. So that's what our foreclosure prevention counselors are really good at, is explaining in layman's terms to the homeowner what's really happening, because I think that we forget that housing is a basic need. So we rent and we buy homes, and we don't really realize that there's this whole professional skill set behind all of it, whether it's legal or banking. And when you fall behind due to, whether it's a divorce, a loss of a job, an accident, your health, you're hit with this language that you don't really understand. So that's what our foreclosure prevention counselors do best, I think.
The sooner you contact a HUD-approved counseling agency, the more likelihood is that you would be able to retain your home. So it's very important that people contact us early in the process rather than later.
Absolutely. What are the options available for someone who's facing foreclosure?
So there's quite a few options available for someone who may have lost income. They can sometimes get on either an unemployment or reduced payment plan for a set period of time until they're back on their feet. For someone who may just have a temporary setback, they got sick, was out of work for a while, they can sometimes get on payment plans where they pay additional monies every month until they get caught up. Loan modification, that's a big one that's heard through like the HAMP program and different programs out there, where they can take your past due payments that you missed and add them back into your balance and redo your loan. Now, for people who may not be able to keep their home, there are other options available where sometimes you can sell the house, like you owe more than what the house is worth. That's called a short sale, and that's where the bank would approve. They would have to approve any offers that came in. Or if you cannot sell the house, sometimes there's options where you would deed the house back to the bank in lieu of it for a closing. Now those options, sometimes they do actually have financial incentives where they'll give them relocation costs so that the homeowner can get a fresh start to be able to transition into their next step.
So along with questions about understanding the legal language, what are some of the other typical questions or more frequently asked questions that people have?
Just what are their options? I mean, just not really understanding what options are available, so our counselors can break down, this is what to expect during this process. This is what to expect. They're very nervous if they have to go through the court process. So just having someone there to support you through the process, have the support of the legal services who are always there at court to support them. So just understanding, what the next step is going to be, what the future holds, and that this is a very long process. Some people don't understand that. They think someone's just going to come and lock them out of their house because they're in foreclosure, and that's not how it works.
And we have a really high success rate of our clients coming in. I think last year we had around 600 families that we served in our foreclosure prevention program, and only like 6, was it?
I believe it was 8.
8
Actually,
were foreclosed on.
Okay. So when someone comes to you, what do they need to prepare ahead of time in terms of paperwork, that sort of thing?
So we try to simplify it initially. So really, they just really need to be prepared with, they need to have their proof of income with them so we can calculate what their monthly income is.
Okay.
And they have to have an idea what their monthly expenses are, because we're going to create a budget for them to figure out what exactly is their current financial situation so that we can create an action plan of what the next step is for them.
What are some of the biggest challenges you're seeing in foreclosure prevention right now?
Well, I think we have several challenges, but one of the challenges that we've been seeing more frequently is that people are coming to us very late in the process.
Okay.
So they may be years behind on the mortgage and they just owe such a substantial amount of past due payments to the lender that it's very difficult for us to help them find an affordable payment that the lender can offer and that they can afford.
Okay.
I think, like we said earlier, is that people, there's a huge stigma attached to losing your house, and we want people to feel comfortable calling us because we're here to help. So the quicker they call us, oftentimes in nonprofit, our funders are don't allocate marketing dollars because funding streams are becoming more scarce across the board, whether it's human services, housing, mental health, and we don't necessarily have the marketing dollars to reach the homeowner, so we have to be really innovative in that.
Okay.
So we're trying to work really hard to get to the homeowner before they're so far in the process, and I think tax past due taxes.
Because we also deal with tax foreclosures or people who are delinquent in taxes, so that is another big challenge that we face, because most of the people that are coming in are very delinquent on their taxes, and to create an affordable payment plan that they're typically with collection agencies, for them to offer something that's affordable is pretty hard to see that work out for the homeowner, and transition options sometimes are the only option, which makes it difficult.
Finally, what's the feedback that you get from families that have went through the process successfully with you?
I think they're very appreciative of the help because, like Raylan said, they're very overwhelmed when they come to us, and just the fact that they're there, sometimes they feel embarrassed, even though there's many families that are going through this situation. So they do feel a set of relief that we can assist them through this process, and we help them from the beginning all the way until they come to some sort of resolution, so that we're there all the way to the end to see them through it and hopefully get a positive resolution for them.
Well, thank you so much for coming in today, ladies. You can reach the Housing Council at Pathstone at 585-546-3700. You can also email foreclosure questions to avoidforeclosure@thehousingcouncil.org, and you can check out their website, thehousingcouncil.org. Thanks for joining us on this edition of CityWise. I'm Tiana Stevens, and we'll see you next week.